Oh man, I forgot the stupid thing again. I always do that when I get excited about a show. Let me get that stupid banner off. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Welcome to the Hedgehog Watchdog. I'm your host, Devin Saxon, joined by Greg Baldwin. We're the meme team behind Libertarian Party of South Dakota and South Dakotans Against Prohibition. Our guest today is the former Secretary of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, Andrew Olding. He's coming to us from PorcFest, actually. How is PorcFest, Andrew?
So PorcFest is not quite in full swing yet. It is, but myself and Justin O'Donnell, who I'm sure most people active in the LP know, we've got that up. We've got other party sites set up further down the hill and all kinds of other stuff. Excitement's high. There's going to be like 2,500 people here this year, which is insane.
Wow.
Biggest one ever. I think COVID probably had a lot to do with that. People are stir crazy.
Yeah. So what is PorcFest all about for people in South Dakota who've never heard of it?
Be careful of the hole. Oh, I see the hole.
Cut out.
Oh, did he cut out? We lost him.
Yeah, I wanted to know how long if he says PorcFest isn't in full swing, I wonder how long it is. Maybe it starts on Monday or something like that. I don't know. We have something similar in South Dakota that goes on every year that I've never been to. Well, he's back now. We'll talk.
Yeah. Yeah, so what is PorcFest all about? It's all good. It's probably like bad connection for being out camping.
Or not the mic off, the camera. I can't figure out how to do it. All right, it's fine. PorcFest is essentially the marquee event for the Free State Project every year, and it's their attempt to get people to move to New Hampshire. But it's really, primarily used as just a meeting place for libertarians to come and talk about ideas and catch up with each other. I think the big thing that gets most people in is they got speakers and events happening down in the pavilion all week long, and then everyone comes and then they experience the festival that is the rest of the campground, and then that keeps them coming back the next year, and they don't even go to the talks the next year. Like, everyone keeps coming back to the actual festival, which is learning about which is just libertarians interacting with other libertarians. It's incredible.
I know, that sounds amazing. Like 2,500 libertarians all in the same place. It almost sounds like a convention, but everybody's camping and not doing any business related activities.
How long is it? Did I miss that?
It's going to last all week. So it starts tomorrow and it's going to go through Sunday. But I've been up here since yesterday, just preparing campsites and preparing other facilities for the event. Yeah. The other big thing, let me give a quick plug. What we got going on here in Manchester, or here in New Hampshire, I'm here trying to raise money for, if you guys can read that right there, emergentorder.io.
Okay.
We here in New Hampshire, we have a club in Manchester that's just for libertarians, and we're trying to buy the building that we currently rent, and then using that building and the revenue sources from that, try to expand there, which is the Fraternal Order of the Porcupine, and take it national, possibly global, wherever else. We're talking to people in Arizona about putting a location. We're talking to people out in California, and hopefully, like, when we actually get the building, like, it can take off really quick. We want to be like the libertarian Masons, basically.
That sounds really cool.
That's what I'm here trying to promote this week. Yeah.
Would you have a question, Greg, about PorcFest before we jump into?
No, I just I've heard of it for a lot of years. It sounds like a lot of fun. Camping is a lot of people camp and big party.
You said 2,500 people.
2,500 people here this year. I'm sure it's actually probably going to be a lot more because that's how many tickets they sold, and they're sold out of tickets. But like, it's the worst kept secret in the world that this place is not that hard to sneak into. Yeah. which that's going to happen. So we're going to see how many people actually. But it's full of people camping, and then like the surrounding motels in Lancaster are all full, all the way out to like Littleton, which is like a 40-minute drive away from the campsite. So
Nice.
like basically like the whole of like southern Coos County is packed with us right now.
Well,
yeah,
road
dude.
trip next year for the Watchdog.
Volume is
road
taken out
trip
for me.
next
I
year.
can't hear you guys. I don't know what's going on.
Well, we just said that we're gonna have to make a road trip next year to go to Pork Fest. So you're actually the former secretary of New Hampshire.
Giving away the flyers.
Do you want to give us a lowdown and how all that drama broke out that went nationally in the Libertarian Party, New Hampshire State Party? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Lost it again.
They don't have Wi-Fi at Pork Fest, apparently.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of sounds like to me, like the maybe Freedom Fest is kind of like the hidey-tidy, more expensive, stay in a hotel. Pork Fest sounds like a lot more down to earth and fun.
Yeah, Pork Fest sounds way more. Well, I probably should. Hey, what's up, man?
I'm gonna try this without the camera and see if the bandwidth will stay good. I'm kind of out in the sticks. Coos County has like 7,000 people in, and it's we're out in the sticks. I'm doing the best I can.
No, you're good, man. You're good. So you're actually the former secretary of Libertarian Party New Hampshire. Do you want to give us a lowdown on how that situation evolved from the beginning?
Yeah. So from the beginning, and it's hard to say like what is the beginning. Like, is the beginning people getting mad at Nick Sarwark, so the Mises Caucus comes into New Hampshire and then they vote Noda instead of him for LPNH secretary, but or for LPNH treasurer. Yeah, I was in the room for that. That was pretty nuts. But Justin O'Donnell wants to tell everybody that he voted Noda. Let's see. So I think
everybody would have.
I guess it started. It wasn't a close vote. So I think even without the Mises kids, he would have just barely beaten Noda. Like that's how much he alienated so many people in New Hampshire. I don't remember what the vote was, but so how this all kind of started was at convention. Richard Manzo, our previous chair, had to back out the last minute to take care of some personal issues down in Massachusetts. And he was elected as the vice chair. So he was already filling in for the chair. So our secretary had to step up and chair that meeting. And the secretary last year was Gilletta Jarvis. And so I was then recruited on like 12 hours notice to actually be secretary for that convention. So there was an oversight in the people who planned the convention, in that they populated what was a committee created by the previous executive committee called the Communications Committee. That committee does not exist in our bylaws, and so it should have just went away. But then we accidentally created it at convention, basically, because nobody who should have been around to catch it did catch it. And then we sort of just operated as like, well, okay, we'll give them access to Twitter and Facebook and whatever else. But then they're operating without a procedure. So it's all these new people who come in who, because they don't have a procedure, because it was this committee that was accidentally created, so we don't have a procedure written up. When we try to go to them and say, like, things got out of control, I think pretty quickly. Like even people like Dave Smith and Karen Ann Harlos were not happy about things that were going out, which are like the strongest of the Mises, I guess, voices. Even they were like, this is ridiculous. Some of what was going out, like calling Gary Johnson useless and things of that nature, right? And so eventually it got to the point where we were trying to create a procedure for and before we had a chance to implement that, and really have a meeting and go over it, Gilletta Jarvis sprung upon us that she has created this new account for everything, and this new organization for everything, and at that moment, and she had taken access away from our own website. She had taken access away from all of our social media accounts, away from our MailChimp account, because she saw it as like they're the new rightful owner, and we didn't understand why. And I sent and me knowing that the LMC was going to fix this, and me also moving to Ohio in August was just like, you know what? I washed my hands of this. I sent everyone a text like, I resign. The LMC will give you all of this stuff back eventually. The procedure on this is very clear. She's not allowed to do this. But like, I'm so done dealing with this.
Yeah.
But you know, eventually after the we saw over the last week, all of that stuff was returned. I guess it's really hard to figure out exactly what all the issues were. You know, at this point in time, so many different things have been said by so many different people. Some of them true, some of them not, some of them half truths. You know, and it's hard to really parse through everything unless we were going to like look at every statement Joe Bishop Henson made, every statement Gilletta Jarvis made, every statement other people made to see, you know, what the fixes were. Because most of what Gilletta Jarvis was accusing people of, like, wasn't true. But there were nuggets of truth to some of what was going on there. There was absolutely, I don't know that I want to use the word corruption, but people not following bylaws at different times and things like that, and really not respecting the proper channels of authority that our executive committee was trying to take care of. And we were talking to other folks in LP National to try to get help to take care of these issues. And it was largely driven by the fact that there's new people here who need to be shown how to do this stuff, you know, correctly within the bounds of what our rules are. It was not a matter. It really wasn't a matter of, you know, everyone in this movement is trying to move the same direction. And I think at a certain point in time, I think someone got to Gilletta Jarvis and convinced her that there was more pervasive problems than there really were, and said, hey, this is the correct path forward. And that's the real crux of the issue right now, is we don't know all of who Gilletta Jarvis's co-conspirators were. We have some information about who actually logged into different things to take away our ability to get into different things. From a perspective of like who may or may not have committed criminal activity, we have that information, and I'm not at liberty to divulge all of that.
That's fine.
But like, you know, the people who are going to get in trouble for this, I think we know who they are, and it's a matter of like how much of it do we want to pursue. So I don't know. I guess, do you guys have any questions about what has come out that like Gilletta or Joe have said, or what has come out as far as like things that Karen has done?
I've got a lot of things to talk about with Karen myself, but because I'm a big fan of hers, I'm not gonna. I'll just put up my bias out there right now. But my biggest question is why?
Yeah.
Do you probably don't even know, but why wouldn't Jarvis just change the password on the Twitter account and then, you know, not create a new party? But why wouldn't she just take control of the messaging as the chair?
So,
like, that's the biggest thing for me that I don't understand.
So that's the funny thing. Okay, so it actually says in our bylaws that the chair has the sole ability to take people off of committees that aren't covered in our bylaws. And since the communications committee was one of those, she had to remove Jeremy Kaufman, who was one of the bigger troublemakers, or any of the other people that she felt was a problem. She had that ability. I don't know that she fully knew that bylaw properly, And I also feel that even if she did know that she had the ability to do that, I think that she was suspicious that the executive committee or whoever else or whatever other proper channels were going to find a way to just get rid of her if they didn't like the way she was acting. And I try to tell her, like, you know, that can't happen. Like, they're not going to be able to do this. this is some of the fears that she was telling me in private text between me and her. Because the truth is, the executive committee after our last convention was 3 Mises guys who were pretty new to the party, not all of them brand new. Myself, Gilletta Jarvis, Stephen Nass. And while Stephen Nass is not in the Mises caucus, he was aligned with them on many of our internal executive committee votes. And she just assumed that Stephen would go along with getting rid of her as well if they got mad enough. And I felt like that was an unfair assumption on her part, but that's where she was. She was so fearful that people were going to get rid of her for doing unpopular things that I think that she felt that this was her only way to do these, to take care of the issues that she saw.
I'm not sure if you know who's running their Twitter
really
now,
sad.
but is that Kaufman dude? Did the old executive committee get control of their Twitter account back? I think they might have. I'm not 100%.
Can you repeat that question? It broke up a little bit there.
That's fine. Did the old executive committee? Yeah, did the executive committee of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire get access to their Twitter account back?
We got the access to the Twitter account back. I know that there have been changes in the way that the communications committee is now done. It may have been gotten rid of. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have all of that information. I do know that Jeremy Kaufman no longer has access to the Twitter. They did not give that back to him, which I think is great. But yeah, so we got everything back that we needed to get back. Everything that was stolen from us has been returned, and essentially, basically every asset of our party was stolen, with the exception of our bank account, by this group of people. So getting all of that stuff back is extremely useful, and it's weird to hear about, like, the Libertarian Party, it's just a bunch of ragtag folks, but it's like, no, our assets in New Hampshire totaled like $30,000 in a checking account. A storage locker full of campaign materials, obviously all of our social media, a MailChimp, a lot of personal data of our members, which that was actually the most egregious thing that was taken, was the personal data of our members. So that we got all that back recently, but that all wasn't even driven by like the LNC. That was like just slowly gotten back by like badgering the people who took it from us. And I think that they're starting to realize that they are on the losing side of this issue.
Do you think Jarvis is going to dissolve her new organization, or do you think she's going to keep going with it, even though it's not the official Libertarian Party of New Hampshire anymore?
You're breaking up again.
Do you think Jarvis is going to continue? Am I still breaking up?
Again. Sorry.
It's a tough interview and you got a low bandwidth, but we've got 10 minutes left of this. If he comes back, I'll slip in a few more questions. Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you guys again. Every time I hop in, it's fine, and then we can go like 7 minutes, and then it kicks me back out. Or it doesn't kick me out. It's just like the volume just drops off, and I can't hear you guys at all.
Yeah, but I was just asking, do you think is Jarvis's new organization, is that still a thing, or did she give up on that whole thing?
I don't know if it's going to be gotten rid of, or if it's going to continue. If they choose to let it continue, I see no reason for us as an organization to go after them from a trying to get them to disappear perspective. But I can tell you that some of the people that she put on the executive committee of that new organization are people who have been in the Libertarian Party for a while and have done nothing. Like, have been elected to things before and done nothing. Specifically, Leslie Ann Peterson, who was put on there, who I think is one of the largest co-conspirators in this, if there is an investigation that brings things to light. And then Jake Bagadonis, who is Leslie's partner. And those two have been elected to things in the past, including the Southern New Hampshire Libertarian, which is just a regional party. Leslie was made the secretary of that last year. I don't know what they even do. I don't think they did anything last year. And then, but it's so in my mind, I look at who she's organized this with, and I don't know what they expect to do. So that's the most confusing thing to me. I don't expect that this will work out very well for them. I am hopeful that Joletta Jarvis can be helpful to the Liberty movement at some point in time in the distant future. Because like we look at like, okay, Jacob Hornberger, ratted out Harry Brown to the feds in the 1990s, and it's like, okay, then he got second in our presidential campaign last year. Like, I don't believe that anyone has ever gone from the Liberty movement. I don't believe that people are irredeemable at all. I really do hope that Joletta Jarvis can give us information on who she conspired with, and at some point in time be brought back into the circle, not, as chair of a party or anything like that, but just as like she was so impactful in organizing our petition collection last year. Like, literally, without Joletta Jarvis, we would not have had 50 state ballot access for Joe Jorgensen last year. And I don't mean like, oh, we could have found someone else to do it and her role needed to be done. No, there was nobody else to do what she did. And there's about 5 people in New Hampshire who I can say that about. Like, if we didn't have that person, we could not have found another person to fill that role, and we would not have gotten. And that's one of the things that's most upsetting about what's happened here is it's like, okay, this person has, at least for the foreseeable future, alienated themselves from being able to help with anything going forward. And, petition drives are around the corner next year for whatever statewide races New Hampshire is going to be running. Obviously, I'm not going to be a part of that, which I think, not to toot my own horn too much, but I think that's a huge blow from just a petitioning perspective. Because I was a major part of that as well. And so to also be losing Joletta Jarvis, I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot that New Hampshire is losing as far as petitioning power goes in all of this. And so I'm really worried about that. And so my hope is that Joletta can come out and say, hey, I was given a lot of bad information and then names off like 4 or 5 people. And I'm really sorry that I did this. What is the path back? That's my hope as far as what happens here, but I don't know that that's going to be the case because, Joletta did express to me at several points in time since convention being frustrated with different people and not really knowing how to deal with these things. The thing that's frustrating about the whole situation as far as like what she wanted changed is had she waited literally 2 days, the executive committee in New Hampshire was having a procedure meeting to change how communications was going. And that was, I think, the biggest issue. And we could have fixed a lot of the issues that she wanted fixed had she just waited a couple days. And so I'm really confused about the timing of everything. And maybe she felt, given Joe Bishop Henchman's letter or whatever pressures she felt from other third parties that it needed to go. But that's really baffling to me. The timing of the whole thing is baffling.
What are your thoughts on the motion to suspend Karen Ann Harlows from the Libertarian National Committee?
I think that they are ridiculous. I think Karen Ann Harlows, I think that there are a couple things that she released as part of the evidence dump that I'm not happy got released, because some of those are in group chats that I know for a fact everyone in those group chats agreed not to screenshot anything and share outside the chat. Those were supposed to be privileged communications. But Karen doesn't know that when she's given this information. So like, it's not like I can be mad at her about that. So no, I think it is ridiculous to try to kick her out over that. I will say that I have butted heads with Karen in the past, but I think that she has done pretty well in the investigation since all of this stuff. I'll even say that like about a week before this whole blow up started, I went to Karen and told her, hey, I've made a motion in the XCOM within LPNH to take some action with the communications committee and what's driving people insane. Would you verbally support it? I asked this to her, and I asked for her support of it. And in fairness to her, I think she misunderstood what I was asking, and she responded, I'm not going to use the LNC to interfere with state parties. And like, I tried to clarify with her a number of times that that's not what I was asking, but I think there was a communication barrier, and she eventually blocked me. And so, like, I have had some personal communications in the past with Karen that I'm not particularly happy about. But no, I think that she does. I think it's ridiculous to try to kick her off. Like, I want to make it clear that, like, I don't personally. That, like, I'm not personally stumping for Karen, I guess is what I'm trying to illustrate, and I still say it's ridiculous to kick her off.
Do you have any questions, Greg?
Not really. I wish New Hampshire Party the best. It sounds like things are kind of getting figured out.
Yeah, it sounds like shit's getting figured out slowly but surely. Well,
they are
AJ,
they are getting figured out.
Yeah. Do you have any last? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I was gonna.
We're in a bit of a delay, I think. So I was gonna say, like, there was a little bit of issues like that could have been dealt with, but there was issues of, like, different people interfering with the communications committee who shouldn't have been interfering with the communications committee, who were never elected to that committee by our convention. And I was telling those people, like, hey, I think what you're doing is dishonest and unethical to what was voted on at our convention, and I think you should stop this, that, and the other. And I was trying to have those things taken care of. And so when there was a whistle being blown that say, hey, there's an issue, like, Gilletta wasn't wrong in that respect, but a lot of the details of what she brought forward was wrong, and nothing that happened ever rose to the level that it ever should have come to national. And so I really want to caution everybody in saying, like in getting furious with Gilletta or furious with one side of this or the other side, because the truth is, even though Gilletta's absolutely in the wrong for taking everything, even though everyone she conspired with is absolutely in the wrong for what they did, it is not like the people on the other side who have been going after her, like, were squeaky clean in all of that. And I think if there is an investigation, no one's going to get in any kind of, like, serious trouble, but it's all going to be procedural stuff that should have never happened that's going to come out. So I think we as a group need to keep going. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, if you had anything, final thoughts or anything you wanted to plug before we move on to the next segment.
Oh yeah, you had your website or whatever from the beginning.
Yeah. So let me plug that again. emergentorder.io. That is where we are raising money to, one, save the Quill and save the club that we have in Manchester, New Hampshire. But two, when we do have the building and we are bringing in revenue, expand and create other clubs around the country as part of what we're calling the Fraternal Order of the Porcupines, which is just going to essentially be intended to be a libertarian lodge similar to the Masons or the Oddfellows or something like that, but then the Elks actually is probably more of a modern comparison. But, like, specifically for libertarians. And we want to take that nationwide, and we think the first step is at emergentorder.io. And I'd really encourage anybody to go there and make a donation. And we're also, as part of this, if you donate $1,000, we will provide to you something called a Quill coin, which we will be purchasing back from people after we have the building and after we have a revenue stream via reverse auction up to $1,100. And I have to be careful to not get us into any type of tax trouble and mislabel what it is, but it is but it's an item that can be, but if you go to emergentorder.io, the information is all there to find that out. So, if you make a donation to us today, you could get some of it back as well.
Hey, before you go, what are you most excited to see at PorcFest this week? See or do, or what do you got? What are you most excited about?
What am I most excited to see at PorcFest this week?
Tough one. Huh?
So
be a lot of exciting things.
So Angela McArdle is coming to PorcFest to debate whether to She's going to be debating whether the Free State Project or the Libertarian Party is the more useful path forward for liberty in the world. And she's actually going to be debating Jeremy Kauffman on this one. Wow. And I'm looking forward to that, even though I think the premise of the debate is kind of dumb, because why would we want to compete with the Free State Project? And why would the Free State Project want to compete with the Libertarian Party? Like, we're all rowing in the same direction. So I find the premise kind of dumb, but I'm interested to see how the debate goes nonetheless. That's probably the most interesting thing as far as like planned events and stuff. But like PorkFest is interesting because of the people you get to talk to. Like, we're gonna have a bonfire going every night, and every night I get to talk to someone new who's around for the first time or has been around forever, and I just never met them, about some crazy idea that I've never heard of before. So that's really the best thing about PorkFest. One time at PorkFest.
Man, we're definitely gonna have to hit that up next year, Greg.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight, AJ Olden. We really appreciate it.
Good luck with your project.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll put that website in our comments so people can click on it if they want to go check you out, maybe give you a donation.
All right. Thank you very much.
See you, man. It's like a 30-second delay. I love this.
South Dakota has something kind of similar. It's not as big as PorkFest, but it's been going on for a while, and I have never been to one. It's called Agora Fest, and it's September 19th.
Fest.
Yeah, agorism. It's like a big anarchist festival. It's not necessarily a libertarian event, but anyway, it's September 19th through the 22nd. Or wait, this is 2019. I was on their Facebook page, but they still exist. They do. It's a 3-day weekend in Gary, South Dakota. It's on the Minnesota border. It's in the northeast part of the state. They've been doing that every year. I've been meaning to go, but I haven't went. It's kind of the same thing. It's like camping, events, the whole weekend.
All right. Phone lines are open. I've sent the invite link out in the comment section. This portion of the show, we're taking callers from witnesses of UFOs. We've got some witnesses lined up. I told them they could click the link basically anytime between now and 9 o'clock. Let me get, I know one person was going to come on right away. Let me get them on right now. Oh my gosh. Facebook's frozen. Here we go. All right, telling them to come on. Boy, yeah, I put out a post, I would say a week ago, calling like all UFO witnesses, come on our show on Sunday. And I got about 6 replies and 3 confirmations a couple days ago that they were definitely coming on. But yeah. So I don't know. What do you think about this whole situation, Greg? I know you've been staying out of it. You're gonna remain keep your neutrality on the New Hampshire and the Karen Harlow's business.
I was just looking. CJ had tagged me in like 3 things. He wants me to. You better just come on the show, CJ, and tell me all about it. You know, he wants me to motion to censure. Oh
my God.
The people calling for Karen Ann's. I haven't made any public statements on it, but me and Devin talked about it a few times, and it's like I don't think that we should remove officers in the middle of their term. You know, leave it up to the convention in 2022 in Reno. Full disclosure, I mean, I like Karen Ann. I voted for her in 2018 and 2020. I don't like party infighting, and I don't like all this divisiveness, and I don't like some of her messaging, to be honest with you. Some of her, she could tone it down about 10 notches sometimes. I just don't like all this getting excited. Distracts from the overall message and the overall progress, where it's like, I want to grow the party and liberty in our state of South Dakota, and I don't really care who serves on the LNC or who's doing what, where. What I should focus on is my state, and what I can do here. I mean, I can sit here and make grand statements, and people might, maybe that's what people want, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like I should kind of stay out of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
People don't like it when people stay out of it, though. I kind of get that. It's like, pick a side. I personally like Laura Abke. I like John Phillips. I like all these guys. Most of these people we've had on this podcast before.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to.
Yeah, it's a good thing we had them on before this went down.
Yeah.
Because they're probably not taking any interviews for a while now, because that's probably all they'll get asked about.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I can't imagine getting called every day and emailed 100 times.
Oh my God, dude. I didn't even realize how bad it was until this went down. And I actually subscribed to their email list, and I was like, oh my God, dude. And apparently you can reply to any of the emails that are on that email list. I'm assuming they get like a bunch of emails from like people that are like pissed off about something that they just said or whatever.
Yeah, I asked Josh Smith that when he came on our show, and I said, "Hey, so what do you like, or do you hate all these angry emails or something like that?" And his response was something to the effect of, "Well, my people are usually the ones sending those angry emails, so I don't get a whole lot."
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
basically,
UFOs.
Yeah, UFOs. Well, basically, all this came about is, even the mainstream news is talking about UFOs now. The Pentagon said that 2 videos that were leaked, they confirmed they were real and that they were unidentified flying objects. So that pretty much started a whole another UFO craze. I don't know if it's been this crazy since the Roswell crash. I wasn't alive back then, so I wouldn't know if the media is pushing out more content on UFOs now than they were then. But
well, it was actually I don't really like the guy, but it was Harry Reid, the former Democratic senator, I think he was, from Nevada, and before he left office, I think he left office, but anyway, I'm pretty sure he retired. He's no longer in office, but he passed some bill. He was head of some committee, and I should probably know a little bit more better about this, but he passed some bill that they had like 2 years or whatever it was to file or for them to present a report in front of that committee on UFOs. So
yeah,
that's kind of what everyone's been talking about, was that deadline was recent. And so they had to issue this report.
Did they issue it?
And they either issued it or it's coming out real soon. I could look that up real quick.
Yeah, I was watching a video the other day where they got a signal. You know how they're like looking for signals in space to see if there's intelligent life? Well, they got a signal that only, like an artificial signal that wasn't created naturally, from the closest star to our sun. I think it's Proxima Centauri. But they're actually going to release a scientific paper on this, but they're going to go into like deep study on it to make sure it couldn't have been anything else for like the next year or so. So we'll see if we get another story on that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, so the deadline for this report that needs to be submitted to Congress is June 29th. So 9 days.
Nice, dude. Maybe we should have done that. Maybe we'll have to do another UFO episode in 9 days. But I'm
Yeah,
noticing
for sure.
if I use YouTube to find UFO footage, I'm getting only mainstream. Is my YouTube thing showing? Oh yeah, it's only showing me mainstream stuff. And like, look at this: Fox, CNBC, Guardian, NBC Today. Like YouTube is completely useless. But so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna use DuckDuckGo, and we'll get some compilation videos here while we're waiting for our first caller. Let me know if you see one that strikes your eye, Greg, and we'll play that one in the background while we're talking.
Oh,
one of these UFO. We'll get some UFO footage playing while we're waiting for a caller. Man,
I know. I wish we had some. I wish we had some South Dakota videos. I actually found a map. Or here, actually, if you want to, should we maybe share my screen for a second?
Yeah.
I found this map. I should have been a little bit better prepared, but found this map looking at South Dakota specific, and here we go. And this is South Dakota data, but UFO sightings in South Dakota 2001 to 2021, and it looks like Minnehaha County.
Do you think that's just because we have the highest population?
Yeah, that's my guess.
Because more UFOs go to Minnehaha County.
Well, I mean, and it could be because it's the busy airport. There's also an air guard base. And then you got Pennington County, which is kind of the same thing, where it's like, well, that's the second largest city. And then not only that, but there actually is an Air Force base out there. So there's 64, 93. Yankton County, I've lived down here for about 10 years. And from time to time, it'll pop up in the local paper where people had called in to 911 because they spotted something in the sky. Yeah. My wife wouldn't come on the show, but she had an experience one time in Clay County with a blue light following a car. I've had a couple of things where I saw something, but my stories are lame. They're not cool stories. Like, I don't know what I saw. It could have been nothing. Who knows?
Yeah, I haven't seen one person, but my father said that he saw a UFO, and he wasn't a UFO guy. I was kind of shocked when he started telling us about the UFO story. I was like, what? That's a UFO? Like, he's a pretty conservative guy. I can't imagine that he would be talking about it. Yeah, he said he saw it by Leeds, North Dakota, on a highway in the middle of nowhere, and he said it just was it had lights, and that it was moving, not like a helicopter, not like a plane, and that was basically the story. And he said he was with my great grandmother at the time, so she saw it too.
Yeah.
So that's what I was like. Oh shit! Got somebody in the family that saw something. But speaking about Ellsworth Air Force Base in Rapid City, I've heard people tell me that they saw a couple of different people in Rapid City. I don't know when it was, sometime in the 90s. They saw like a glowing orb of some sort that flew over Ellsworth Air Force Base.
Yeah.
And the media actually reported on it because a lot of people saw this. And they claimed it was just ball lightning. That's what they said it was. So I've never heard of that before. I guess maybe there is ball lightning, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's my take on UFOs. You know, the government has been kind of coming out showing us videos, and where it's actually like the military who's spotting these, and the Air Force is chasing them, and they don't know what they are. But well, I guess we'll find out for sure in 9 days. But the official story so far, what we keep hearing, government just tells us that they don't think that they're alien, that they just think that they're man-made or terrestrial, basically. And
Yeah.
my problem with that theory is that if you look at the United States government throughout history, think about all the arms races. Think
Yeah.
about the race to the moon. They went to the moon. I think like 7 years or 9 years. Like it was within a decade. They said, "Hey, we're going to go to the moon and we're going to do it," and they did it within like a decade, right? So you're telling me that the government thinks that there's some sort of terrestrial vehicle out there,
Yeah.
and they're not like overly concerned about it? Like we had
Yeah.
the Cold War for 50 years where it was, like I said, this huge arms race, right? And even to this day, it's like, oh, China has this new technology. We got to beat China. We got to beat China. So it
Yeah.
seems suspicious to me that they're real nonchalant about this. Well, we don't know whose vehicles these are. It's like, well, you should be pretty
Yeah.
concerned about it, right?
Yeah, I think like the most compelling evidence for UFOs on video anyways are these, like, this is a footage of some of them where they're captured by like the International Space Station just leaves its camera running 24/7, and it's actually a live streamed footage, and every once in a while there'll be something in the background that moves awkwardly and like violates the laws of physics, so it like takes 90-degree angle or something, so like that it was artificially moved or it was some kind of craft that was moving. And then what they do is they block out the feed every once in a while too, like right after something like that would happen. So I just thought that was suspicious. What do you think about the people that like they've got video of UFOs going like into the ocean? Is that worrying to you that there's possibly something in the ocean that's not like of this planet
Adam
originally?
Jewell? Yeah. Where's Adam Jewell? The underwater sea expert.
Yeah.
No, but I thought about that too, where the government says, "Oh, this is terrestrial. This isn't from outer space." And so it's like, okay, well, so what? Hollow Earth theory then? Like the UFOs are coming from inside the Earth, and then that kind of almost, if you're going down that route, it's like, well, then the underwater wouldn't be that crazy. There's probably vents and all sorts of, we haven't explored 60-70% of the ocean floor, so who knows what's down there. Maybe they are coming from the ocean.
I'm gonna call one of these people.
I always like the idea of Hollow Earth, like if we're just talking conspiracies or crazy ideas.
Have you seen the new Kong versus Godzilla movie?
Yeah, that was kind of cool how they tied all that in.
All right, I'm calling one of our UFO witnesses from South Dakota right now. It is Father's Day, so it's probably tough to get people, but they did say that they could come on beforehand, so it's like, okay.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah. Just come on for 5 minutes. Like, it's not going to take too much of your time. Just tell us a quick UFO tale, hop off. Wow. Not going to answer me, eh?
Just fucking straight to voicemail, buddy. Yeah. My two little experiences with possibly seeing something was one time in Yankton. I was working outdoors and we were, I don't know, whatever. I was looking up in the sky and saw something way up there. Kind of like that, metallic, but it's way up there.
Yeah.
So you don't know what it could be. But anyway, I was watching it And then all of a sudden it disappeared, but like not behind a cloud or nothing. And then like 10 seconds later, I kind of look over into a little bit different part of the sky, and here is something that looks the exact same. And it's like, well, the only reason I thought, well, maybe a UFO, just because it couldn't have got from point A to point B if that was the same craft within like that 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Because I was following it in the sky and it was moving just real slow.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden disappears and it's way over here now. It's like, I don't know. And then the other time, we were coming home from Sioux City one night, and I don't know. I don't know. Who knows what it could have been, but it's just like light, red light way off in the distance, and I don't know. Like I said, they're kind of lame experiences. I don't know if they were what they were. Somebody's got to have a better story. Who's seen them? Who's seen the little green men?
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of stuff I wish were UFOs, but it was probably just a satellite because it didn't really move weird, but it was way up there.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to look up some footage from the International Space Station because I think that stuff's pretty compelling.
That's what I was going to say too. Recently, was that it's making it harder, I think, to spot possible real ones because that Starlink satellite now, there's like hundreds of these satellites now, and I've seen a lot of instances recently of sightings, and then they're like, yeah, that was just Starlink.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Starlink, huh? That's that new satellite system from Elon Musk.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess there's like a whole lot of satellites and they're in like this succession, and I don't know. Somehow a lot of people are thinking that they're UFOs.
All right, I got a new video. Just playing an ad right now. Ad history. NSA shoots down NFO claim.
Ooh, here I found. Ooh, we can contact these people. I found a good one. UFO hunters, and then they have a map in South Dakota where you can click on. After your video plays, we'll check that out.
Yeah, I guess I'm just having it as a background playing until we get a caller. I can't believe we're being stood up like this by all these UFO witnesses.
Well, let's check this out. So, Salem, South Dakota, which is just west of
Hey, let's
Sioux
put
Falls.
up your screen.
All right.
Yeah.
Here. So I mean,
By the way, this. Oh wait, go ahead.
No, it's just me for being a bad co-host because I should have done all this ahead of time. But whoops.
We weren't supposed to have to be talking. We're supposed to just get a bunch of callers. We're being stood up. By the way, though, this episode is brought to you by pinkcoin.com.
So this map's kind of cool. It's kind of got
Yeah.
and then you can click on them. So UFOhunters.com. So
Nice.
Salem, South Dakota, Friday, 20th, March 2020. Well, I thought it was going to give us some details, man. Oops. I don't want to enable your cookies. Mitchell, November 28th, 2012. Oh, it does give you the. So well, let's go back to the 2020. This was last year.
Yeah.
Where's this one? All right, so Friday, 20th March 2020, Salem, South Dakota. The source is MUFON. Saw something moving, looked like a planet, didn't blink like a star. Watched it move up, go around a group of stars, come back down, fade a little, then completely disappear. Wasn't sure if I saw it for sure. Kept watching the sky because I love astronomy. Yeah, so that's kind of crazy. I witnessed 10 or more do the same thing, but disappeared a little closer to the star. I called the local sheriff, and he sent the lady sheriff out. Kept witnessing more, and then they stopped, and she still hadn't arrived.
Wait a minute. She called the local sheriff, and then she sent the lady sheriff out. Isn't there just one sheriff? Doesn't every county just have a sheriff, and that's the sheriff? Like what? Maybe she lives on the border.
There's deputies.
Oh no! Quit calling my phone and just click the link.
Oops.
I got a call from one of our UFO witnesses here.
Here, I'll stop sharing for now. We can come back to that list.
Yes, we're getting a caller. I'm texting him now. But dude, yeah, that list was good, dude. That list is exactly what I want. I just want to know what people in South Dakota have seen, because you always hear about UFOs like elsewhere and other places, but it's like, we live in a place where it's kind of a sparse population, or it's easier to see them because there's not a lot of light pollution.
Yeah, that one was kind of crazy story too. It's like
got a link. I sent you the. Sorry, I'm sorry.
10? Witness 10 going around a star.
Here we go. I'm sending them the link again. They'll be up shortly. But yeah, man. I guess I kind of wish that I had like a glass ceiling so that I could just always just be observing and seeing, scouting for UFOs or something. Because I don't ever, how often is it that you're outside just like looking straight up? Like, I wonder how many times a UFO has just been like hovering like right there and you don't even look up to see it because you're just focused on what's going on ground level.
Yeah, I wanted to buy a nice telescope.
Telescope, dude. Yeah. Oh my God. I'd be coming over a lot more if you had one.
Well, we've got some friends that got telescopes, and I know there's like certain times where you can literally see, I mean, it's not that far, but like you can see the International Space Station as it's going around and stuff.
Yeah.
I've always wondered if that Dark Knight satellite was actually real. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that.
I was going to talk about that. I was going to bring that up eventually. Yeah, why don't you get the lowdown on what the dark side satellite is, Greg, for those that don't know.
Oh, no, I'll just sound dumb. But yeah, I don't know. It's like been spotted in the fucking sky for years. Oh, CJ is here.
Oh, we got a call. Mr. CJ Abernathy.
Hold up a second. I think I'm still hearing the show.
How you doing today, sir? Can you hear us?
Yeah, hold on a second, though. Still hearing you guys talking from
yeah, close out the other video. Just
there we go.
The live one. There we go.
Now I don't hear you guys talking, echoing again. So, what is up, you guys? It's your boy CJ, the Internet Warlord, coming live from Hedgehog Watchdog.
Woo!
And I have a UFO story to tell you guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
So
yours is recent, isn't it?
As you guys know, I do harvest seasons, and last harvest season, I was staring up at the sky over in over by Gettysburg at this resort that we were staying at, and I look up into the sky, and the guy I was with, his name's Elgin, and he goes, CJ, you see that light moving there? And I looked, and it was not one, not two, but 3 lights all in a row moving.
Whoa.
All the way across the sky, and this thing is huge. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not just like a shooting star. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. It could be aliens. I don't know, but it was certainly unidentified. It was definitely flying, and it was an object. So I said, nobody's gonna believe us, Elgin. And well, I don't
We
care either
believe
way.
you.
I know what I saw, damn it, and I'm not crazy.
So, like, how are the lights? The lights were like in a line, or are they like in a triangle shape? Like some of
No, it
them.
was just like 1, 2, 3, and then it gets even crazier. Then I'm sitting there watching it, and it goes from about the 11 o'clock to about the 1 o'clock, stops. The lights stop. All three of them just go stop in a motion. And then one light drops down. Two lights drop down. A light drops down, and then it
Oh, crazy.
goes away again. And I'm sitting there like, okay, this isn't like natural. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, this is about the time, that maybe Space Force is ramping up or something. So maybe there's like things that are classified that I don't know about, and I'm sitting there like, well, either I saw an alien or UFO, whatever, or I just watched Space Force go across the sky. So yeah, I felt really crazy, really stupid for a little bit. Other than
What color were the lights? Where is it just like
just white,
just white? Are
just
they
white.
blinking or anything, or are they just mono?
No blinking, all straight white, and all just moving in a line together. I mean, I've looked up in my time on this planet. I've looked up at the sky, and I've never seen three lights move in the fashion that these did, and then let alone to have lights dropping from it. And I'm like, well, I mean, maybe it's just something Space Force, I guess. I don't.
Did you see what the shape of the object was? Like the object holding the lights, or the lights like their own separate entities?
No, the lights were affixed to a larger body. You could tell that there may have even been more lights, but only three were visible, and you could tell that there was like a larger mass object behind the lights. It was like silhouetted because this is about 5:30, 6 in the morning, you guys. So
Yeah.
still a little dark out here, and then
How long ago was this?
last harvest season, so a little less than a
just
year.
last year. Woo, recent one.
Right. And then when I was a kid, either this is some like weird memory, but I do have a very vivid recall of like some grays, like 3 feet tall, surrounding my bed, sleep paralysis, couldn't move, waking up and feeling like the shock, and then standing around and screaming for my mother. And as a kid, and I've been traumatized for years. I can still see it in my mind. I slept on a bunk bed with my brother. He was on the top bunk, I was on the bottom, and I just remember seeing these gray looking aliens and then screaming, and my mom comes running down the hallway, flips on the light, and poof, disappeared, gone.
You
Yeah.
think they could be interdimensional beings?
You know what? I mean, I'm not gonna say that I would know what they are. I mean, I've heard demonic. I've heard angelic. I've heard all kinds of things over the years onto what they could possibly be. Interdimensional, one of them. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, these UFOs, these unidentified flying objects, these UAPs, whatever you want to call them. I mean, there's things in the sky that we don't know what's going on. Like, I mean, a lot of us spend our time, staring at our phones, looking at our screens, not really looking up at the sky. And I mean, you can spend an entire, night looking at the sky and never see anything. It might be just that one day, that one random time where you just happen to look and you see something that you know isn't. It can't be what you're looking at, because you're looking at something going, well, that's not how the stars have looked before. And I mean, you guys remember Elon Musk launching his satellites here recently?
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Right. So, well, to my story to this point on that, we were over there in Paris, Arkansas on that day, and we could have swore to God that was an alien invasion. I mean, if you had no clue what was going on, if you were just woke up that day and just like many of us just lived a day and then looked up and saw just light after light, and the way it was shooting, it looked like a full scale, like what you would expect to see if an alien invasion was taking place. They were literally shooting up, and like one would come down and like wait for others to come through, and then it would branch off, and then they take positions amongst the stars, and you're like, this is some intelligent shit going on right now. This isn't normal. And so a lot of people fell for that one, myself included. But
Yeah, we
I
were
still,
just saying that ever since Starlink launched, there's been a lot of people that will confuse those satellites for UFOs. In fact, it was actually I just saw something down here by Yankton where somebody was like, "Hey, you see all them lights in the sky?" And that's what they said. They were like, "Oh, those are just satellites." So
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, it's something where again, a lot of people are afraid to talk about it because they'll be called crazy, this, that, and the other. But hi, I'm CJ. Been called crazy for a while now, so this is nothing out of the ordinary for me. Uh, but so to the point though is that in the secrecy, in the cover up, there's gonna be a lot that the government, the duopoly and their corporate entities and all their black budget projects that are gonna have contracts spending trillions of dollars in the name of Space Force that we're never going to see even in our lifetime, I believe. Like they have to have technology, and I believe this, that's 50 years more advanced than what they're telling us.
Yeah.
And when I say they, I mean classified government programs that
What do you
are
think? Do you think the government might one day fake a UFO invasion to?
Project Bluebeam. Absolutely. Of course. How can not? You can't be in the world of conspiracy and ufology and
Yeah.
and not know about Project Bluebeam. I mean, if we would have said 2 years ago, hey guys, do you think the government would create a virus that would, literally cause the entire world to shut down and ruin millions across the globe's life? Nah, I don't think. Well, I think there'd be a lot of us that would say, yeah, I can see it happening. But to predict it, though, would have been something else. So, I mean, there's a lot that we don't know. Do we want to jump in and say aliens right out the gate? No. But if they do exist, please take me to your freaking leader because I'm tired of being on this same rock with Governor Christie Noam. And these Homo sapiens that think slavery is freedom. It's just weird. So yeah, that's my out of this world story.
What's your take on doctors who think like what you described, where you're paralyzed and you see like grays surrounding you? The doctors say that's a night terror and that's not a real thing. That's like a dream where you're like a half dream, half awake. What would you say to that? Do you think that's a possibility?
I'm not gonna say it's not a possibility. It certainly feels real if I'm like 5-6 years old when I recall this.
Yeah.
And I'm 36, this year. That's a long time to have that impression in one's brain of what it does. And do I live with it and go, oh my gosh, like I have, like I'm just now weird? No, I just look at it like whether it's real or not, it's beyond my control. And that's all I think a lot of this is going to be for a lot of people. I mean, when the shit really does hit the fan, pardon my French on free speech radio talk here. But yeah, when the shit does hit the fan, there's people aren't going to be able to handle the truth, whatever that truth may be. If it is, we have interdimensional travel and parallel universes on top of, I don't know, universes that may be micro differences. Like maybe there's a universe where I'm Greg and Greg is you and you're me, I mean, there's a part of the there's multiple universes, whether it's multiple dimensions. I don't think that the average person can comprehend it in a way that is articulable to the point where you could go, yeah, this is what happens. This is the meaning of it. I think it's kind of like the Tower of Babel. Like we can all talk about the fact that, well, the sun keeps going, the moon comes up, the world keeps spinning. How does it all work? I don't think that anybody really knows that. And so until we really truly know, the origin of our universe, whether or not we were created or an accidental cosmic soup or whatever these things may be. Maybe the earth really is 6,000 years old. And maybe the answer to stopping suicide is to go to church. I don't know. Maybe there's a universe where that's actually libertarian. I don't know. But either way, my point being that whether or not you have an experience with a UFO or something you identify or that's weird, this whole universe is weird. It's weird that we're even able to talk to each other on some inanimate object through, the way the means we do, and most of us don't even understand this technology. So how can we look at something in the sky that's doing things that clearly we don't understand and go, yeah, I get what that's doing? You're like, no.
Yeah.
So, that's just my take on it. Whether or not, aliens are real or not is irrelevant to me.
The
Whether
Larry Sharp approach.
Yeah,
I asked him. I asked him if he believed UFOs were aliens, and he just kind of said the same thing. He's like, "Well, it doesn't matter to me if they are or whatever."
No, it doesn't, and that's what I'm saying. Take me to your leader. Maybe you can take me from here and away from all this bullshit. So, I mean, I already said I want to go to Mars. Like, I want to be somebody that leaves this planet. So, I mean, whether or not I would encounter a Klingon or a reptilian or, and somebody from the Andromeda galaxy, who knows? There's people that say that there are aliens walking amongst us from other, galaxies here today, and that interdimensional travel and interstellar travel have been happening for decades. Who knows? Maybe in this we're also the ones who are like, do you think they're real? And the government's like, these guys, of course they're real. Of course we have interdimensional. And then the Alex Jones people, like, there's interdimensional
Clockwork Elves.
Yeah. Oh, dude, no, it's what do you say though? Interdimensional child molesters are trying to take the penile glands of babies. Like, it's like, Jesus. Like, even if that's the case, like, I don't think there's gonna be anybody who can go, I get this completely and I can articulate it to everybody. So it's kind of like what's happening with the LNC stuff. Not to segue to that, but too much, but with this stuff, nobody's going to be able to explain every freaking detail, because it seems like every minute I click on Facebook, a new person sitting there going, well, this is my thought and this is mine. So I'm just like taking the approach of, I would send all of you to the aliens, whether they eat you for food or not. I don't care. I'm to the point where, in this party, whether we're talking about UFOs or corruption of the LNC, it's all out of this world, in my opinion. And it's, one's more fun than the other. But I don't know. When I was listening to you guys talking earlier about the LNC stuff, I was scrolling through the discussion threads that I'm seeing, and I'm telling you guys, there's something going on in the LNC. It might not just be Miss Harlow's that's whistleblowing in this sense. It's, maybe I would ask, maybe she is being directed. It seems like she might have people that are helping her through this, and I'd ask her this, that, I mean, obviously I don't know if she's obtained any legal counsel or anything like that, but it seems like every minute there's a new fact and then there's a new reason that somebody else is saying this justifies the way they're treating her. And one of the things that I think is even more crazy is like they're going to use her monetizing her platform, right, as an issue, which I find absolutely appalling. I think that you're telling a woman who doesn't have a job that she can't monetize her own speech. And you know what? Like, I'm sorry, she is the secretary. That doesn't preclude her from participating in monetization or being able to, like, now people that are sitting here screaming decorum, like, I hope these LNC officers that are voting for her removal or abstaining from her voting for her removal, I hope they really take into consideration the fact that, one, we all know they have all committed an action unbecoming of an officer of this party. All of them. Laura Edke, a huge surprise here for me. I'd heard all these great things about her. And then when I go and I listen in, I'm listening to her constantly saying, well, like she even commented, Miss Harlos is not a whistleblower. She said you need to define due process in law. And I'm like, you are all disgusting people. You hide behind the same thing that the government does. You sit there and you utilize this. I'm higher than thou. I'm on the LNC. I'm better than everybody because I'm on the LNC and I represent you, but I'm going to abstain from voting for you. And it makes no sense to me. And so, my point being, you guys, if John Phillips doesn't do the right thing, and I kind of tagged you in a post there, Mr. Chairman. I'm calling on you to call on our regional representative and alternate to protect with their vote the due process rights of one Miss Karen Ann Harlos, and that she receive full due process and not this trying to oust her via Robert's Rules of Order at a meeting. It's just bogus. It's BS. And anybody that's going to do this after all we've been through, it is. I think Devin, you pointed it out. It has to take what, 3/4 of a vote or of the body, excuse me, for her to be removed.
Yes, 2/3 of the LNC, which means that the yes votes have to outnumber the abstention votes and the no votes by 2/3. So, like, an abstention vote is basically a no vote in this
right, and that's what we're saying.
That's my thing. It's just like that's what my position is. Like, dude, if you don't like Karen Ann Harlos, then just abstain. You don't have to vote against her. And also give her a goddamn hearing and have a meeting online. Do an online meeting with 2 hours of public comment beforehand. Get warmed up.
Part of this is the public comment. But, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong here. We have a secretary for the Libertarian Party of South Dakota that was elected by acclamation. Like, no objection. Like, everyone's like, she's the secretary, and everyone's like, yep, she's the secretary. Am I wrong?
She was the only one running, yeah. So,
well, I mean, she could have chose to not, right?
Well, yeah.
And somebody could have objected to her running, right?
Yeah, we always got Noda. You can always get
right. She won this unanimously by acclamation with no objection, and I think has earned her spot, right? If she started coming out and whistleblowing, saying that there was corruption on our executive committee board, and then half the board starts gaslighting her and treating her like she's the problem, don't you think that's a little suspicious? Don't you think that at some point we're going to have to all sit back and go, well, we would never be able to get away with doing this to our secretary if half of our party was treating our secretary the way that the National is treating Miss Harlos?
Well, I don't know. I keep reading that supposedly these people say she did something wrong, but
what'd she do? She wanted to start a barbed wire dildo caucus? Like, what?
I tried watching that meeting the other night, but after 2 hours of public comment, I was done.
I watched that with you, Greg. I watched that. I don't know if you know this, but I'm probably the biggest fan of Hedgehog Watchdog here. So, I mean, I'm just
Yay.
I'm just sitting here saying that there comes a point where we have to identify those in the party who do not understand what procedural and substantive due process means, the fair treatment, both in process and in our procedure. So that way, when she says that she is bringing forth allegations of corruption, those in the party that are like, oh shit, she's going to tell on us, they can't just vote to remove her and then throw a fucking grenade in the room and go, bye, I resign, and then disband their whole caucus. Like, if you were looking at this as a, like a crime scene, like, I'm not a part of an official recognized libertarian caucus. So I'm an outside caucus member looking in. And I've got my issues with some of the things Mises has said, but I've also got issues with some of the things Pregs have said. But I'm looking at this with an outside perspective going, whoa, the Pregs are literally still holding the smoking gun, and they disbanded so they can't be investigated. It just convolutes and they literally lawyered their way out of being exposed in this party. I mean, disbandment of your party should have happened regardless, or your caucus regardless. Any attempted coup, where you're overthrowing the will of the delegates at your official convention, that's libertarian treason, and I mean, then they're gonna hide behind the fact that, well, what are you gonna do? Call the cops? You're libertarians. You're not gonna get the state involved. So they're also adding that element, given the fact that they're committing federal election frauds. We know the Pragmatic Caucus has been rigging the presidential vote. That's why they wanted their online convention. That's why they wanted their technocracy, so they could rig the votes like they did in Kentucky and other states where they had it to where you could vote multiple times. They skewed the front runner for the president. Joe Jorgensen was not the front runner for this party, folks. Spoiler alert.
He was the front runner.
That's the thing. We'll never know because she was installed by the Pragmatic Caucus. They rigged votes to make sure she was the front runner.
How did they rig votes?
They used a voting system that allowed anybody to manipulate the vote.
Oh, like the online voting system?
Yes. So it didn't matter. Like, they'd say, oh, Joe Jorgensen won the first debate or the third debate or whatever. No, she didn't. It was, you could rig it to say whoever you wanted won. And what that does in the party, for those who didn't watch, oh, Joe Jorgensen won. Oh, she's the rising star. She's building the name. And even Miss Harlos, to her credit, was sitting there going, during the online convention, the first portion of it, when they did the presidential nominees, she was, without saying, you guys are rigging the election, she's sitting there saying you're rigging the election. And we're listening to it, and it's just, I remember going to Reno and going, man, you all gaggle fucked this so hard.
You went to Reno?
Or not Reno, Orlando. My bad. I'm in Reno. I'm like, some of you in Reno are never going to forget who I am. I'm going to walk right up to your fucking faces, and I'm going to give you more than just an earful. I'm going to make sure there's camera people with me doing this to your fucking face, going, you fucking cowards. How dare you trample the rights of a vote of not only the most prominent whistleblower in this party's history, but one of the most hardworking libertarians that I've ever met. In fact, Karen Ann Harlos is in my top 5 of people who have influenced me in the Libertarian Party. Like, when you look at the party as a whole, yeah, you have your Larry Sharps, obviously a Marine brother. I love him. He's a great guy. Cash, sailor, love him, great guy. Miss Harlos, though, is that anarchist voice where I know I can go, oh, well, yeah, she might be a little, like, I'm not going to say crazy, but in her own right, in her own character, in her own personality, you have to be crazy to want to be the secretary of this party.
Yeah, to me, you got to be crazy to be on the LNC.
Yeah,
like, no, I never want to be on
but
that.
but I don't question her libertarian principles because she treats everybody with respect and dignity and kindness where shown. I don't expect her to have decorum for people that are calling for her head to be chopped off. If you all were calling for my head to be chopped off, I have 2 middle fingers cocked ready to go right now. And I promise you, 5-10 years from now, what are they going to be like? CJ on Hedgehog Watchdog on episode, what is it, 36? Like,
what are we on? 30?
30? Okay, well, I was close. Either way, 30. Episode 30. Do you remember where CJ was like, I got double barrel cock middle fingers and was saying, all kind like it was just unbecoming. And it's, I think that any of these officers that are voting against this, if they had somebody like me that was spending all my time looking into them, I think that we'd find shit that they said somewhere along the lines that pissed, somebody off. I mean, if you can't be in the Libertarian Party and not speak freely, like if I have no ability to speak my mind, even if I'm stuttering like stupid Stanley, sorry Stanley, even if I was stuttering and just having a can't put my words together, this party needs you to be able to say whatever the fuck you want. You need to be able to say every word, whether it is derogatory or not, inflammatory, divisive or not. It doesn't matter because we protect all your freedoms all the time. And then I hear this and I go, oh, unless you're the secretary exposing corruption, then you can't have your own personality. You can't have your own character. You have to be beholden to rules and procedures and this and that and the other. And you have to be this perfectly primrose example. And I'm sorry.
My thing is that did you hear that? Did you see the meeting where Longstreth was like literally screaming? That was the second meeting. He was literally screaming in the meeting. This wasn't an email meeting. This was the big meeting when there was like an hour and a half of public comment, and then the LNC meeting started. Then Longstreth started screaming about something, and it was really awkward. And then it's just kind of like all his arguments against Harless, he just done himself. So it's like, dude, I would never do that to somebody else when I know I'm guilty of it too. Like, there's just no way I would do it.
I mean,
and it's like, and the things they're complaining to her about is like Greg and I are doing it too. We're monetizing Hedgehog Watchdog.
You're literally on the executive committee of an entire state, and do you see the?
I feel that our podcast is bringing value to the Libertarian Party of South Dakota.
Actually, you have a disclosure that really protects you at the beginning of this broadcast. For this exact purpose, Ms. Harlos, you could learn one lesson from the Hedgehog Warriors here. Like I'm telling you,
my personal opinions do not reflect the party.
Yes, and see, in this lessons being learned portion of this conversation, the lesson being learned here is that we are a party filled with half of a party of hypocrites, half of a party who say they're for freedom and all your freedom and all the time, unless you're exposing corruption of what they're doing behind the scenes and how they're doing it. And, this is what the craziest part is. Not only do I believe that there is corruption, that there's been infiltration, maybe something to the level of COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program from the CIA, maybe to even that level. And the fact that these people even get to joke, like you see like Joe Bishop Henchman joking about being in the CIA. You see his husband sitting there going, his last act as chair is to get rid of Karen Ann Harlos. You're leaving
cackling laugh or something too. I was like, wow.
Right. And so, you're sitting here saying these things. We were speculating at first. We're like, oh shit, why is there this like bee? Got like a bee in my get out of here. Sorry, it's like a
UFO.
baby. Sorry, it was
Save the
violating.
bees.
It was
Save the
violating the
bees.
nap. It touched me
Wow.
first. It violated the nap. It touched me first.
Property rights.
I didn't consent to being touched.
Murderer.
I didn't murder it. It's just it's not the same as it was before, but it's not dead. I'm
That
just
sounds like a
saying.
lot of people I know.
Yeah, so I mean, and so whether or not what this all comes down to is this, it's the same thing that we've been trying to do in South Dakota for a couple of years. We've been saying we need a judicial committee to handle disputes. We needed that. We've been saying that in this state. And then to watch in lifetime the national committee, like Laura Ebke was like, you need to define whistleblower and due process. It's like, no, this is why we need whistleblower protection, so that people like me don't have to define what whistleblowing and due process is to people like you dumb. I'm gonna reserve that word for Christy Nolan. But either way, my point being that we either are going to come together as a party and realize that we are a factional party, and our conventions are meant for those that show up. If I showed up with 100 people in Sioux Falls, and I was the leader of said de facto leadership, and everybody came in, and they all were slating candidates, and we took over the Libertarian Party of South Dakota Executive Committee, there'd be nothing you guys could do about it. You guys could either go the New Hampshire route, and we see where that's going, or we see that this party is made up of those that show up, those that formulate the strategy to actually not only win elections, but starting at winning convention and elections at conventions. So, I don't have an official home yet. I'm kind of flirting with the idea of picking a caucus that works for me outside of Guillotine Caucus.
Everybody's caucusing up for the big
Maybe
war,
I might
dude.
join the war. So again, if you're a part of the caucuses, anybody that's
yeah, dude,
I mean,
full disclosure on myself. I literally just sent my first $10 dues into the Rattle Caucus. I'm a voting member.
All right, Greg, where are you standing there, Greg?
I feel like it's inappropriate for the chair to be a member of a caucus.
Yes, Greg. And that's why I accept the chair of the South Dakota party here, because he doesn't get into the caucus drama.
Yeah, it's like like you said, the party's made, it consists of who shows up. So, hey, the Mises caucus is actually just kind of getting started in South Dakota. A year or two from now, there might be enough of them to be a major player.
I promise you 4 I promise
Mike
you
Pence over here.
I promise you guys 6 years from now there will be 0 pragmatic votes in the or 5 years from now.
They ever dissolved. What do we even call them? Do they even exist? Is it just like an idea now? It's not a caucus anymore, it's just a pragmatic idea.
It's kind of like the Guillotine Caucus. It's unofficial, but they're still there. Like, yeah. They still exist. Like, they got that prag stench on them still, like, that's why it's like, I go, okay, so your whole party disbanded. Are you all still members of the party? I mean, don't get me wrong. If your whole party, your caucus disbands, your party didn't disband. So your caucus did. Now, essentially, you are without a caucus.
Caucus.
You're caucus.
Yeah, I feel like What do you think the motive for that? Do you think they're trying to get rid of the target, so you can't just blame the pragmatic caucus for everything anymore because they don't even exist? You kind of just sound stupid then.
Maybe there's an element of, well, again, that seems kind of childish to watch the chair throw a grenade in the room at the secretary and then shut the door. And
dude, that was such bull. I couldn't believe that.
That's like going to be the dying death.
Like, dude, how is the Libertarian Party of South Dakota like eons more mature than the National Party?
You guys have to deal with me, like, seriously. And I mean, we are way more mature as a party, and you guys have to deal with me. And I'm sitting here going, maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe we need some South Dakota representatives within the LNC that's
Dude,
not.
that's what
there.
I'm saying. Let's get some South Dakota reps in there because
I
we don't
mean-
have anybody on there. And like, can we
I-
get one at-large member, or and
How
maybe
about an
just even an
alternate? How
alternate?
about an alternate so
yeah.
when John Phillips loses his nuts, we can have somebody with some actual backbone to step in.
Yeah, dude. Like
I mean,
lost.
is Aaron
I
keeping
lost
John's
right
balls?
away.
Like Aaron, the one behind this? I think Aaron might be the one behind this. You know, she might be the one that has John's balls in her purse, and is controlling it. And again, that's speculation, but you know, birds of a feather tend to flock together. And if you're abstaining on an apathetic vote towards somebody you say you respect, at least have the courage to actually vote. Like, just say, well, I think she did something wrong, but I'm not going to vote is just as bad as saying she did nothing wrong and I'm still voting to remove her. It makes no sense to anybody why these representatives go, oh, well, I represent you as your regional coordinator. Well, then represent me and vote to save the secretary. Oh, I can't do that. I don't represent you in that capacity. Like, fuck you, then you don't represent me at all. I don't consent as of this moment. John Phillips, I don't consent to you being our regional coordinator. I don't consent to your alternate either. Now what? We're a party of consent. We're a party of consent. I don't consent. Are you all going to rate me now saying that you get to vote however you say you want to vote and that it represents me? No, that's not consensual. So you're abstaining. That's cowardice. So I think they should all be removed.
He recused. That means it goes to the
Recused,
alternate.
abstained.
If he would abstain, then it would
This
count basically like a no vote.
Remember in Orlando, we'd watch John Phillips looked like he was swinging grapefruits between his legs, walking to the mic, and looking like he's walking with a purpose.
I remember.
That's John Phillips. Holy shit, watch him go! And then it's like, vote to remove Karen Harlow. It's like, where's John? Oh, he's tucking his tail in the corner like a little bitch. And then he's making posts on Facebook that are similar to Old Yeller, like, I don't want to shoot my dog, but I have to. I love my dog, but boom. You know, it's like, he literally.
No, he didn't shoot his dog. He didn't shoot his dog. Boogman shot his dog for him.
Okay, I'm sorry. You don't get to just hand somebody like, I can't do it. Here, you do it. Like,
dude, I'm definitely probably gonna run for alternate again because South Dakota does do so.
No, dude, be bolder. Be bolder. If John Phillips can't represent you,
I don't want. Dude, have you seen the LNC email list? I'd rather take a back seat in the apprenticeship chair before I.
Why would you want to
deal with that?
All the time?
Can you imagine everybody? Can you imagine like 100 CJs emailing me every day, just like for like every opposite position? Like,
I need you to make sure that your toilet paper roll is properly squared. I need to make sure you use 3 freaking sheets, and if you use 4, that's unbecoming. You know, it's like, at what point are we gonna? I can sit here and be a dick to anybody over the internet, right? It's kind of comes with the territory. But my point being that I can also show people respect, dignity, and kindness and make jokes and laugh and have a personality and a character versus I have to be this primrose person. I've always been a front saying I'm not perfect. I will cuss like the Marine I am. I will fucking fight anybody that wants to fight me, verbally or physically. And I'm sitting here going,
full on Kyle right now.
No, I'm just saying, it's not Kyle. I'm saying,
what's your Monster Energy drink down, bro?
Yeah,
I wish I had one. Now, what I need is a White Claw. That's what I need. There are no dogs with claws. I know Adam's watching.
That'll calm me down.
But
White Claw.
But maybe. Either way, though, you guys, when we go into Reno, and when we're discussing how the board should look, do we want a board that makes the excuses, well, this is just how we do things? I mean, okay, show of hands. Who thinks the LNC is not corrupt? Please raise your hand.
Not corrupt, dude. I didn't think they were corrupt 2 weeks ago. Well, maybe, no. Like, there's nothing in my mind. I wasn't thinking about the LNC 2 weeks ago. I was worried about South Dakota stuff.
Well, okay. for those of us
And
that
then now for the next year, that's all I'm gonna be thinking about is LNC stuff. Like,
and
unless
it
they
feels
just
like
drop
this,
this
but
bullshit.
maybe this is the new COVID. We're not gonna be able to get rid of it. Like the Prags are gonna have to stay 6 feet from Mesas. All right, like and vice versa. You know, like
I heard somebody motion at the meeting yesterday that it was like a fake motion, but it was the wrestling caucus. Have you heard of the wrestling caucus, the professional wrestling caucus? They advertised themselves like 8 different times during that meeting, but they want to do a noodle fight like the Josh fight. They want to have like a Prags will have the noodle things.
okay, hold up.
The
Like,
Mises have noodle, and they have like a big battle out somewhere and like whack each other and get all their bent up frustration out of the system. I thought it was a good idea. I was like,
just
I
for the
thought that'd
record,
be kind of fun.
just for the record, WWE Hell in a Cell is tonight, and I would say, okay, who would I have to fight if I was gonna fight somebody in the ring? Who would I fight in this party? Because I think it's going to be John Phillips. I'm going to have to challenge John to a consensual fight here. You're like, I'm going to have to beat some representation into you because you clearly aren't going to represent my voice. I don't know, man. You think there's professional wrestling?
I don't know, dude. I think John's got this.
Here's what we'll do. I challenge John Phillips to a Hell in a Cell match at the next Libertarian Party of South Dakota convention in front of everybody. And I will beat you into submission. And yeah, if you accept my challenge, it's voluntary. If we can sell tickets, we'll monetize it, and we'll donate it to the Libertarian Party of South Dakota.
We could never afford the cage. It'd have to be Hell in the Cornfield.
Well, then it'll just be me and John standing in the parking lot of that hotel there. And
what about the person that caused all this? Cole Thompson says violence will solve all our problems.
No. It's consensual.
There you go, CJ.
It's not violence. It's consensual mutual combat and volunteerism. And charity work on behalf of the LPSD trying to raise money for this state party that desperately needs it. What's in the bank account there, Mr. Treasurer? Like $1,000? Like, all right,
that's basically what we got.
I think we should totally
bring a headline fight between CJ Abernathy and John Phillips can't bring more than $1,000 in ad revenue. Then let's just disband the party and go home, guys. Like,
what were you gonna say, Greg?
No, I was just gonna say that I'm in favor of bringing back public duels, though, because like with politicians, it's like back in the day. If you really
surprised right now.
Well, no,
that's the most libertarian thing ever.
I like this. Let's hear him out. I like this.
Yeah.
Well, no, like he said, they're voluntary. They're voluntary. So you got to agree to them, and then you get to find out what politicians really believe, because it's like they always try to tell you how strongly they believe about something. It's like, well, do you really? Do you really?
I love this dude.
Right.
People thought I was the radical one of the two.
In fact, Greg, to your point, sheriffs in South Dakota and all around this country, back when this country was, or when this state was still a territory, dueling used to be legal in this state, and sheriffs would watch people shoot each other, and they would just clean up the body. That's the difference in time that we've there. But yeah, so
I got a question for you, CJ. I've been watching a lot of gold shows lately about mining gold, and like, okay, what's your libertarian opinion on like the law back in the day? Since we're on the subject, it used to be if you were caught, what's it called when you go on somebody claim jumping?
Okay.
It's essentially when you go on somebody else's property to mine for gold, and then that's called claim drop. If you don't own the property, claim jumping.
Right. It's a good restaurant too.
There's a law that claim jumpers can be shot on sight, and you could shoot a man if he was looking inside your gold box. What do you think about? Do you think that they were, trespass? It's like out in the wilderness, Mistakes can be made. I'm gonna break that up too. Like maybe you don't quite know where there's like no GPS.
Right.
Like who knows if the guy at the office, some bureaucrat messed up your claim, and you were
I'll even do you one better. In North Dakota, in Minot, North Dakota, on Main Street on Sunday, until recently, I think it's been since removed, but until recently, it's within our lifetime. It used to be legal to shoot a full-blooded Native American on Main Street between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., which were considered typical church hours. So if there was a full-blooded Native American on Main Street in Minot, North Dakota between that time, you could shoot them legally.
Wow. Man, these old laws are messed up, dude.
Yeah, so again, we go back to laws are messed up. We need people to fix them. The establishment's clearly not fixing them. They're rigging it to benefit them. We need people to step up and say, hey, I challenge the omnipotent state, and that's the Libertarian Party. We challenge the omnipotent state. Apparently, there's members within the LNC that think they're omnipotent, and it's kind of crazy to think that they're not going to be challenged by people who are already challenging the state. We already see corruption in our states. Kristi Noem will speak freedom out one side of her mouth and then that slavery shit out the other side. And we see it daily. So of course this LNC stuff is petty squabble by comparison to government corruption. But if the third party's national committee is as corrupt as claimed to be, then we have a big problem and it needs to be investigated. We said this months ago. When Karen starts to whistle, when she really starts to blow that whistle and things really start to get moving, she will be retaliated against. It was already predicted. So these people that are doing this, it was already predicted that she would face whistleblower retaliations. And it was in our fear that you would all try to violate her due process, which you've done. And that
I think the Karen thing's a bigger deal than New Hampshire myself.
You know what? I think
this is about exposing something. If you're exposing some wrongdoing, that you get attacked by like more than 2/3 of the LNC and your friends don't stand up for you, it's kind of like, whoa.
It makes you really wonder what they're doing.
I think the New Hampshire stuff was like blown way too out of proportion. Like, yeah, they made some bad tweets. Just delete the tweets. They got new people on charge of the Twitter account. We just interviewed the guy.
Yeah,
like, they got a whole new people. They have all new policies in place to protect against it. I mean, I tend to like our policy. Is that I think it says in our bylaws that I report to the chair. So it's just like, okay, there we go. Now you got the what do you call that, rank thing going on? So it's like, okay, there's somebody I'm reporting to, so I can't just run off and say whatever the hell I want on the Twitter account.
Right,
piss off half the country.
That's why you're a great communications director, and the fact that you do keep the messaging towards the state party, and you don't make it.
The first thing tomorrow, dude, is I'm going to post Libertarian Party of South Dakota supports dueling. Because I know Greg's not going to say anything about it now.
And claim jumper protections.
Yeah.
But my point to all this though is, you guys, is that regardless of how they conducted themselves in New Hampshire, and whether or not it was Karen Ann Harlos or if it would have been any other member of the LNC, if you come forward with allegations of corruption, if you come forward with allegations of rigging votes, if you come forward with allegations of any sort that should be investigated, you should not be met with a wall of people that are going to gaslight you and going to treat you like you're the problem. New Hampshire might just be the catalyst to a bigger problem in this party. And in this case, we don't have whistleblower protections. Our regional reps and coordinators are not going to be those protections in lieu of that fact. And I think it's cowardice. And I think that when it's all said and done, the party itself will be disbanded, or justice and truth will prevail, and Ms. Harlos will get due process in the Judicial Committee. Anything short of the Judicial Committee, and this party will lose all credibility for all the rest of our lifetimes. Literally. There will be, it won't matter. We could put up the most popular presidential candidate in the history of candidates and get 20% of the vote, it won't matter, because the way our national committee is, if it's that corrupt, we'll never have the trust of the members, the delegates, and you will see a full takeover. In fact, I'm going to predict it now. The Mises takeover, it's already started. It's already happening. Whether or not they like it is irrelevant to the people that are taking over. And so, in my opinion, you're either going to have to do what, like when I went to Orlando and I'm sitting here, I'm like, it's Father's Day, right? I'm here at Orlando. I want to do parental rights, platform. I'd love to get into that. And to listen for hours on end discussing where boys and girls need to pee was an insult to my intelligence, to the integrity of the body as a whole. And, I go, there's a reason why this party is operating the way it is. And it's because, and I do believe this, that the third party is controlled opposition. I think that it's clear to me that it's useful idiots that, one, we don't have people there as libertarians making sure libertarian votes are counted correctly at any election level. I got 10% of the vote here in District 23. How do we know that's accurate? Does anybody really truly know how that's accurate or not? We don't. Right. Point being that, they look at libertarian votes like the votes that they can swing an election either way. So, either they can vote to include libertarian votes and swing it the way they want, or they can exclude libertarian votes and swing it the way they want. So we deal with the corruption as it is. And the simple fact that we have to even sit here and open up our phones every 15 minutes and see something new and stupid being said. And it makes me go, I don't want to say anything, but here I am typing out a goddamn paragraph going, this is why I think you all suck. And it's not productive. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything anybody's saying on Facebook in long paragraphs or even in their resignation letters is relevant. The only thing relevant in this case is, do we have whistleblower protections? Do we have due process in this party? Is the national committee operating within that to begin with? And the answer is no. So if you're a representative or if you're an LNC member and we don't have whistleblower protections, and you have one member, the secretary, claiming to be a whistleblower, if she wasn't claiming the title whistleblower, I wouldn't call her a whistleblower. But it's kind of like if Greg, if you came to me and you're like, CJ, there's some corruption going on in the LPSD, I want to be a whistleblower on it. Okay, you've taken the title whistleblower. Now you shouldn't be retaliated with Devin, and Devin shouldn't be in on the take of trying to remove you. It's crazy to me, and everybody knows there's factionalism in this party, but nobody's going to accept a corrupt win. Nobody's going to accept a corrupt outcome when you clearly know that it was rigged, it wasn't done right, and the person that's whistleblowing should have full protections, and not only protections, have the right to be in front of the Judicial Committee. Also, no Judicial Committee members should be on this investigation. No LNC members should be on this investigation. Nobody that has ever served in the capacity of LNC should be in this, because listening to these guys the other day, it almost sounded like a live witch hunt. Well, we need them to be about 6'1", blonde hair, blue-eyed, in order to participate in the, and you're like, but they can't have freckles. And it's like, okay, all right. Well, they can't belong in any caucus. Well, you mean official or unofficial? And the way they lawyer this stuff, it's like, I'll tell you what, man, I am ashamed. I'm glad that our numbers dipped so low that the mainstream public is not paying attention to any of this, because if we had 50 million votes and this took place, could you imagine how long that LNC list email would be? Could you really imagine it? Imagine it if there was 1 million CJs writing you, John. So the fact that you only got to deal with one should tell you all you need to know.
One's bad enough.
Hey, I show up though, and this party is for those people that show up. So, you guys, I know we're supposed to be talking about UFOs.
Yeah,
but
UFOs.
I think it's just as crazy what's happening. I don't know what to. I actually, after experiencing the LNC bullshit, I believe that aliens exist. There is a better world out there. I want to meet their leader. I've seen things in the sky that make me go, please come get me. And so be it. You know, like, if you want to live in a world where corruption's cool and aliens don't exist, I'm not your people. But one day we're gonna have a libertarian caucus of actual extraterrestrial beings. What are we gonna do when we have
caucus?
what are we gonna do when we have the alien caucus? Like, they won't call themselves aliens, right?
What are you doing? What are you doing, CJ, for like the next hour? Are you busy, or do you want to go through some UFO? We found a website with a bunch of UFO reports that we can go through.
Well, actually, guys, it's Father's Day and it's 9 o'clock, so I gotta go put my kids to bed. But
all right.
I will, of course, finish listening in with you guys and participate in the comments. But thanks for having me on, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to literally say whatever I wanted, because you two, the mean team behind the Libertarian Party of South Dakota, you live by your principles. I respect that about both of you. And Greg, you're a member of the LNC, are you not?
National Committee? No, I'm a National Party member, yeah.
But you have a spot on the LNC because of being chair, correct?
No, I don't have anything to do with the LNC.
But you can still ask John to do the right thing, right?
Well, technically, we all can, and everybody registered libertarian in Region 6.
Leave your screen until you tell me that you'll tell John Phillips to do the right thing as chair.
Well, what's going on with that? I mean, I don't even are they voting now? What are they doing?
Right now, like,
it
reached 4 motions. Like 4 people sponsored the motion, so it's going to go to a vote tomorrow. But now there's objections and points of orders. But like, it's Father's Day, so basically it's like we're not doing business till tomorrow. So everybody's emailing for no reason.
And all they're doing is
they were done.
You know what?
Yeah,
I think
they were done.
I'm just asking you, Greg, to be the chair that represents me. Just asking for whistleblower protections and due process. Anything short. I'm not asking you to twist John's arm or wrestle him in a mud bath. I'm just saying, can you politely ask him in a way that isn't so threatening to say, can you do the right thing? Can you protect due process and whistleblower rights and not abstain? Because right now,
we want him to abstain. We don't want him to recuse.
We don't want him to recuse. We just want him to use his vote, that in the lieu of not having whistleblower protections, please treat your vote like it is the whistleblower protection. And if there needs to be further action on this, let it go to the Judicial Committee, because that's what they're there for. That's all I'm saying. So, you guys, I think I see an alien. Please come get me. I'll see you guys later.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on.
I saw John has a thing that to motion. He said he'll motion to censor the whole LNC. I don't know. I kind of like that idea.
That's a pretty good idea. That's pretty good.
The whole thing seems a little ridiculous, but that's why I think that they'll just keep passing the buck or something. It's like maybe there will be a full investigation. Maybe I don't really know how they can just create new meetings like every day though. That's kind of weird. It's kind of weird for me that they could just keep. Well, all right, we'll talk about this in a day, and we'll have another meeting. Yeah. It's like, well, I thought the LNC only met like every so often. Yeah, so like if you didn't resolve it already, it's kind of, to me, it's like you just move the fuck on. And if you want to come back to it in a month or what, and I don't know. It's like, how do you just keep calling? And I could never imagine doing that to like.
For no money, and then every day you have to work like an extra 3 hours.
Yeah, like I couldn't do that to everyone on our board. Like, hey, we didn't get shit done today, guys. Looks like we're burning the lamp oil tomorrow night again.
2 hour public comment.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's
I
more
mean,
people public commenting than probably like an entire, like bigger than the entire meeting we've ever had in South Dakota.
well, that's the frustrating thing. Even at like the national conventions, it's like, dude, every topic, there's dudes standing at the microphone, 30 people deep, wanting to talk. And some of those guys, especially at like the national conventions, it's like, they just sit at the mic, like they've moved on topics, and they're still just sitting at the mic. It's like they just want to talk, you know. They just want to make sure that they get their 2 cents in, you know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish we wouldn't have to spend so much time on it. That's kind of why I was like, dude, you didn't get your shit done. Like, move the fuck on. Like, come back and circle back in a couple
Circle
months.
back.
Do the investigation. Get your shit together. You know. Again, I don't know.
Well, we didn't talk much about UFOs this episode, but we did have some guests that at the last minute weren't able to make it, and it was kind of a bad day as Father's Day. So maybe we'll do this again, another UFO episode.
Yeah. So when I was looking this up, there's a guy in Sioux Falls that talks a lot about this stuff, and I had never heard of him before. But yeah, we should reach out to him and have him on, and he's like a paranormal expert in South Dakota.
Yeah, like I think that'd be better if we actually have like the guests lined up and like, here's your time slot. You're coming in at this time to tell us your story, instead of like, I don't know, the open calls didn't seem to. I was expecting to have more callers than just CJ, but you know, what can you do? Growing pains. Anyhow, if you like this content, go ahead and give us a like. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Check us out on Twitter at Hedgehog Watchdog. We're also part of the Free Speech Media Network. You can check them out on Facebook, Trovo, and DLive. We're also on Spotify and iTunes. Really, we're on like every podcast platform now, essentially. We had a kick-ass event, Frisbee Golf for Freedom. That was like yesterday. And our next event is going to be Freedom Fest. This is going to be like a really big event. We're going to have a booth there. Greg and I are going to be there. Libertarian Party of South Dakota is going to be there too. You can get $100 off your ticket with the code FF21LPSD. There'll be a lot of great speakers. Jessica Moss, Joe Jorgensen, Tom Woods, Dave Rubin, JP Spears, Larry Elder, Dr. Drew Pinsky. Did I say Dave Smith already? Probably. John Mackey, Ian Hirsi.
Yeah, I don't know some of these people, but
Dennis Quaid's going to be there too at the Anthem Film Festival. Larry Sharp's going to be there. He's actually going to be attending one of our after party events for the state party. He's definitely going to want to show up. That's going to be fun. Amaj Tour. Who's that person in the middle? Mary Srewert.
Yeah, so she's kind of a big name. She's kind of a big deal in the libertarian movement. Author, she's a doctor. She's written a lot of books.
Nice.
It's good stuff. There's big things going on in South Dakota this summer.
I think I said everything. Got my whole closing statement down. Do you have any final words before we close out, Greg? Do we have any guests coming up next week, or is anything special happening next week? I forgot already. Is it a free week?
No, we are in talks with some people with Joe Jorgensen's team. I haven't checked the email in a couple days, so we might have an interview coming up with her. But then speaking of UFOs, we got, like I said, that Congress report comes out in 9 days, so maybe we can revisit the UFO thing in 2 weeks. Yeah, like I said, get that paranormal guy on. Then maybe we get some new information from the federal government. Probably not,
that'd be fun. Yeah, I feel like we didn't get enough UFO content on this. I think we did maybe like 30, 40 minutes of UFO content. I was planning on having most of the show UFO content, maybe just a little section about party stuff. But yeah, in 2 weeks, we'll just do full on UFO. I don't care if anything happens dramatic on Libertarian Party. We're not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about UFOs or ghosts or something.
Yeah,
But,
I had some people say had some good ghost stories. So that's another
Yeah.
interesting topic we could talk about here coming up pretty soon. Trying to branch out, not always interview a
Dude, we've done,
politician
this is
every
our
week,
30th episode, and we've done 29 and a half episodes on politics, and like a half an episode tonight on UFOs. So I think it's okay if we start talking about some other cool things about, this is basically just a local South Dakota podcast at the core. I know we're both libertarians, so we do we do a lot of libertarian things, but I think if we're still in our theme if we talk about South Dakota things, even if it's ghosts or aliens or whatever, South Dakota UFO sightings or South Dakota haunted house sites, South Dakota gold mining. I know we're gonna do a gold mining show for sure.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun. We'll probably go out west to do that.
Colin is going to show us his secret gold mining spots when we go. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
See you next week.
See ya.